Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm just going to give you a continuation on a previous lesson that I did about learning the note names. So this is sort of the next step if you are comfortable with everything that I showed in the previous lesson. This will sort of give you some steps to expand on it. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that shared it and viewed it. I think it's up to like 40,000 views, so it's really cool. Thanks for checking out my approach to things, and yeah, I hope you are expanding your guitar playing because of it. So, alright, enough about that. So, in the previous lesson we talked about finding the major scale on the fretboard, and also finding these semitones and where they sit on the neck. So for example, E to F and B to C was where the semitones sit in the C major scale. Alright, so by now hopefully you've mapped out a little bit of the fretboard in your mind and you know where to find those. So today we're going to talk about applying all this stuff to actually playing, and one of the most useful scales, which you probably know, is the pentatonic scale. So typically it's played like this. Alright, but we want the freedom to be able to see it all over the fretboard. Okay, so what do we do? If you've got C major mapped out in your mind pretty well, what we're going to do to find the A minor pentatonic scale, which is the relative minor of C major, all we do is we look at these two semitone spots in the key, and we remove F and we remove B. So this goes down from a 7-note scale to now being a 5-note scale, because we've eliminated these two spots where the semitones are. Now what that does is reduces the possibility or the risk of clashing notes in the keys, because the pentatonic scale is a very wide interval, easy listening sort of scale, and by removing these semitone intervals from the major scale, you've sort of eliminated your chances of hitting clangers or clashing notes, and you end up with this. It's a very easy to listen to, easy to play sort of sound. Alright, and so what we want to do is try to find those notes all over the fretboard. I did a previous lesson on finding those notes all over the fretboard as well. You can look at that one for these sort of shapes. Alright, we can also go string by string. Okay, so that approach helps you from not being stuck into vertical scale shapes because you're forced to think horizontal or linear. Alright, so that's the pentatonic. The second step is to look for the chords that are created from the major scale. So to create chords, what we do is we stack every second note in the scale. So the scale goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The chord goes C, E, G, B. So that's a C major chord. If we stack 4 notes, we end up with these things called seventh chords, which is a C major 7th chord. Now if you continue that sequence, doing that for each note, we do it with D, we end up with D, F, A and C, which is either a D minor or a D minor 7 if you stack the 7th on top of it. So if we do that with all the notes, we end up with the 7 chords of the major scale, or the harmonized major scale, some people would refer to it as. Alright, so what can we do with that? We can learn the modes and use them to solo over the chords. So the modes are the scales that are built from each of those notes. So all of this stuff kind of goes hand in hand. You'll notice that the mode and the pentatonic and the chord are all very, very similar. For example, the A minor 7 chord is only one note different from an A minor pentatonic scale. It's just missing a D. That's the scale, pentatonic. That's the chord. So it's almost exactly the same thing. The A minor mode, or the A Aeolian mode, all we do is we pop the B and the F back into it. So these things are all closely related, so it's great to think of, you know, A minor pentatonic, A the chord, and A the mode, sort of as one thing that all fits together. Alright, now, modes. You may not have heard of modes before, or you may have. Modes are basically the same scale, but starting and ending on a different note. So when we, in the previous lesson, did our string by string exploration of the neck, learning the notes that way, we were actually playing modes because we were playing C major, but we were starting with open string notes. So we did C major starting on E, C major starting on A, starting on D, starting on G, and so on. So those are all modes, and basically what they do, because your ear is hearing a different start point and a different finish point, or a different tonic, it actually has a different sound to the C major scale. Even though you are playing the same notes essentially, that start and finish point has a big effect on the quality of the sound. Alright, so I've written out the names of them here, the 7 of them, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and they each have a different mode and each have a different sound quality. So what you can do to start playing around with them is make up some chord progressions. I've mapped out a few different ones here. Try applying the modes over the top of the chord progressions, and that way all this stuff will kind of start hopefully fitting together for you. So the first progression is C, G, A minor, F. So you could put that into a loop or into a backing track or something, and try experimenting playing over the top of it. You can also use other modes and interchange them. So for example, one of the most common things to do would be to use the A pentatonic scale over any of these things. It's because it's a great, easy to listen to, easy to play scale. So works fine over C. Works fine over E minor. You can experiment. There's also other pentatonic scales in there as well, like for example D minor and E minor pentatonic will also work over a lot of this stuff. Okay, so that's a lot of jargon and information. I hope it's useful to some of you, and if you have any questions, once again, just get in touch, and